day and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia, our weekly show where we obviously present you with topics and a couple of holiday ideas on the destinations. And then finally, we've got to the point for you. So today under topics, the first one that we'll show you is a bit of bad news because people are using Mopane wood, which is hundreds of years old. So there's been a bit of an issue about that. Then up next, we've got fires that are raging around Windhoek. As you can see there, not a nice sight. And it's continuing and somehow it doesn't come under control. Then we've got the Swakopmund plan. This is quite a new item. It's a plan that regulates how the beach will be accessed and how it will be used, beach area and all those areas. Then under destinations, we'll have a look at the Olympia swimming pool in Windhoek, something totally different. Some of you might not even know there is one. And then next up, we'll have a look at desert elephants, something totally different, and I'll tell you why I say it's a destination later on. This was a very rare video prepared by Rolf Schmidt, which he loaned to us. So we'll have a look at that. And then to the point today, I'm for a change looking at 10 degrees south again. So we're looking at Malawi, quite a nice place to go to. Lots of water, very nice place. Yeah, and those are our topics, destinations, and then to the point for this week. Yeah, right up next, we'll obviously have to start with topics. My name is Frank Steffen. You might have seen it on the screen earlier, and I will lead you through this program. So let's have a look at the topics. Right, welcome back. And first up, we obviously have under topics, as I said to you, Mopane trees. Mopane, this is very sad to see. Our Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Kalle Schlettwein, the other day put out a couple of tweets where he was lamenting the fact that people are actually, for their charcoal production, they are felling trees which are more than 100 years old. And you can see here, this is just simply a shame. This was done near Uchu, that's where he picked it up. And it was good to see that the minister actually made a point of raising this issue. What made me sad was that the ministry that's responsible for that gave a rather lame explanation about having spoken to the people. And yes, they had been aware of it a couple of weeks ago. Then why not do something about it? Why was the police not involved? Why is there not a consequence when you break the law in this way? Because if you are a charcoal producer, this is a no-no, and it keeps on coming up, and you just somehow, they've slapped a fine on him. How big is that fine? What does it do? Does it change the fact that the guy will do it again? Because I'm quite sure for that type of quality of wood, he's getting a huge price, so he's probably laughing it off when he gets a fine. So I'm not much impressed because the minister didn't even react. It was only his PRO. So sad to see on that side. Then we've got fires. These fires were raging badly in Windhoek this past week. It actually started, I think, on Tuesday. Here you can see Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Avenue in Klein Windhoek, or actually Ludwigsdorf. You could see that fire in the background there and became quite strong. This photo was actually from a gentleman called Sven-Erik Stender. This was a photo I made on the subsequent day where the fires were still going on, and this guy was very worried about his roof, so he kept making sure that it's wet enough to withstand any heat. So clearly thatched roofing is a big risk in weather like that. It was extremely hot and there was a lot of wind, so any little incident and that roof is gone, and we all know that. Have a look at actually these videos that we play for you in the background while I talk you through it. Here, this was like from that thatched roof that was no more than probably 300 meters, and I'd gone over to the rubbish dump, or it's actually garden refuse dump, and then sort of walked towards the fire. And you can see on this video, the flames don't look that big, but just believe me, they are actually very high. And you can clearly see there that whole hilltop had burned down. Now, the sad news was, while this was going on, the next fire already started in farm Windhoek again. So if we look at that photo now, you'll see there, it was also from Sven-Erik Sterner, who said to me, farm Windhoek is now burning, which was totally on the southern side, or let's say southeastern side of Windhoek. And this fire continued so much, and both these fires carried on so badly. These photos I made on Thursday morning. You can clearly see the moon there. That was at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the whole town was covered in one big, it almost looked like a cloud cover, but it was smoke, and when you breathed it, it really was quite sensitive on some people's lungs. So yeah, clearly these fires are taking a huge strain on our fire brigade, especially because they're in the mountains. So it's a case of you go there and you hope to cut down the fire, but in the end, one little wind and just one piece of coal and off it goes again. So it wasn't the best of times in Windhoek as far as that was concerned. Yeah, and then we're looking at Swakopmund. Swakopmund, as far as I'm concerned, they're just doing what they should have done very long ago. And they've got a new regulation as far as the beach is concerned. So the town council is introducing the so-called beach action plan during this Christmas season, and it receives numerous requests from residents and visitors to hold a variety of events on the town's beach, obviously. And so the Swakopmund regulation for functions and activities on the beach and along the park and jetty is now designed to protect and preserve the beach. Obviously the recreational parks and then the jetty also, while people still enjoy their beach visits. So this photo, you can clearly see it's towards Strandhotel. The jetty's just to the right-hand side then. And so Swakopmund Beach Access Plan is what they call it, and with it comes a beach, park and jetty regulation, which gives the town council the power to declare, restrict or close any area for particular use. So in other words, it's not only about closing it down, it's actually forbidding certain uses. So if residents and visitors wish to host activities on the beach, they must obviously follow these event application guidelines, and they're then reviewed and approved at the end of the day. So it's not as though nobody wants you to allow you to do anything. It's just a bit more coordinated, and I think it's no more than right, because I think what will be part of those guidelines is if you are at that space, you'll probably have to clean up afterwards, which I think should have happened long ago. So to me, this is common sense. I hope you feel the same. Yeah, and those are our topics for today. Up next, we've got destinations. Yeah, and our destinations we approach a bit different today. If I say different, not that much different, but what was interesting, my colleague Ogeto Greg had a different idea about destinations, and he reckoned we should look at the Olympia public pool. Now, most of you probably would not even know there is one if you're a visitor to Windhoek, while Windhoekers obviously could be reminded as well. There you see it. It's obviously in our sports area for Windhoek. You see the Independence Stadium there. To the left of it is the rugby stadium, and then you see the United Sports Grounds. And there, that circle is obviously Olympia swimming pool. So it's in the Sean McBride Street there on the corner. And well, easily to be found and accessible, not far from the airport, obviously. So if we look at the next map, you can get a better indication of what it looks like. So it's obviously quite big. It's an Olympic-sized pool, and it also has an additional little pool for smaller children. Obviously, you still need to take care of your children and make sure that they don't come to harm. But yeah, you can at least see Windhoek has that thing. And normally it's used for galas and all that sort of thing. If we look at the photos here, you can see here, this is typically when a gala takes place in Windhoek. But obviously this time of the year, the galas are now done. They'll only start early in the year again. And for now, if you want to go to the pool here, clearly this is your typical Saturday or Sunday. But the nice thing, it's now holiday time, so for any of you who quickly want to cool off, especially when it becomes hot and humid, then clearly the Olympia public pool could be a nice little destination for you, even if it's just for a day or two that you spend in Windhoek. But what Ogeto did is he also spoke to the local manager there. So just have a look at the video.
Good afternoon. I'm Ruti Overseas, swimming pool administrator at Olympia Swimming Pool. Been here for 18 years. And I just want our viewers to get a quick review of what is needed at the swimming pools. We have quite a lot of info that is actually at the entrance that will give an indication of the different attires that people need to wear, what needs to be wear, what not to be wear, our different visiting hours, and then the admission fees, so that people know exactly how much it will be. And then we have our rules and regulations, so that everybody can obey to our rules that we have in front of our premises.
And will you be open all December?
We will be opening throughout the holidays. It's only on the 25th of December that we will be closed. That's the Christmas day, but throughout we will be open for the public from 10 o'clock till 7 o'clock on Monday to Thursdays. Friday, Saturday and Sundays is 10 o'clock till 6 o'clock. We don't allow any alcohol on our premises. That's because we have a lot of, it's a public pool, so we want to make it a family outing, a nice picnic area. So what we don't allow is ball games, especially like soccer balls. Any person can be injured on the head, and then we will not be aware that this person, while swimming, ball injured them on the head, can be drowning, and then we will not be aware of it at all. So we are very, very strict when it comes to our way of wearing the swimming costumes because of the bacterial infections and stuff, and we also dose our water. The other one is the noise level. We see to it that that the other person, the next person, don't irritate the next one. So we are very strict on that as well. With the animals, unfortunately, we can't allow animals on our premises because of the hairy and stuff, and the pools have been dosed with chemicals. The other one that we can actually more give attention to is the children, because there are always parents that send smaller kids without adult supervision, and that we don't allow. If a kid is 10 years and below, we will not allow, because parents should look after the kids.
Right, and that was the Olympia public pool. I suppose if you stay in Olympia, you would know about it, but many people don't. So I actually thought it was quite a nice idea to remind you that if you want to cool off and you want to do something different, still enjoy the sun, Olympia public pool is still there. It's obviously a pool that's run by the city of Windhoek. Right, and then we've got desert adapted elephants. Now this is quite a nice little thing. What happened is Rolf Schmidt of Schakal Studios, he sent me a contribution, and then I suddenly got thinking, you know, if you look at this photo here, you will typically think this is impossible, but this is what you find in the Schakal veld. It's a bit cut off in the top there, but don't worry. The red circle is just to give you a rough idea where the Schakal veld is, and then the Damroland is the blue circle. So it's all to the left or to the west of the Etosha National Park. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is if you look at the next map, you have a real good idea of the rivers that run in that area, and partly that will explain to you why this is the area where you find most of the conservancies, because the rivers that you have there starts right on the top. The border one is obviously Kunene, and so it goes down, but the desert elephants, or what they call desert adapted elephants, are not a distinct species of elephant, but are African bush elephants, obviously known as Loxodonta africana. That's obviously the Latin name. And that they've made their homes in the Namib and Sahara deserts in Africa. So obviously we're more concentrating on our own. So at one time they were classified as a subspecies of the African bush elephant. but this is no longer the case. So desert-dwelling elephants were once more widespread in Africa than they are now. And they are currently found only in Namibia and Mali, so it's a rarity. So they tend to migrate from one waterhole to another and traditional routes. So if we go back to that former map now with the rivers, then you will see there, like I said earlier, you've got Kunene, then you've got the Kumip, you've got the Warusip, you've got the Wanip, the Unyap and the Uap, and actually right down at the bottom you'll even have the Uchap. So clearly they're indicated on this map as well. And typically, if you look at the photo now, you will see more or less what is the typical expectation in that area, with elephants resting in dry rivers under the trees, living off the various fruits from the trees in those rivers. So fact is that Rolf actually submitted us a video, so have a look. Right, and so why did I say it's a destination? Quite simple. If you go to Damaraland or to Kaokeveld, I'll tell you, I actually wanted to provide a list for you first, and then I realized, no, I wouldn't be fair because sooner or later one of the lodges would phone me and say, no, but why didn't you mention me? There is a huge number. There are lodges, there are camping sites, there are overnight sites with the rarest of stuff, and there are community camps, especially in Kaokeland, near Puros and so on. You've got these community camps which are affiliated to the various conservancies. But if camping is not your thing, there are lodges and lodges and lodges. Whether you go to Upuvu, whether you go further down to Sesfontein, if you go down to Damaraland, you can go to Korigas, you can go outside Korigas as you go up those rides, Kovarp, and all those areas. So lodges abound. And in any of those areas, if you do a bit of research before the time, you will be able to find sufficient lodges who can actually treat you to these desert-adapted elephant. They can treat you to desert-adapted lion. They can even show you some rhino and all types of other animals, whether it's giraffe, gemsbuck, springbok, you name it. So it is really that area of Namibia which is abundant in diverse animals, and that's what makes it sad if we suddenly allow all types of mining activities in these areas. And we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. So maybe it's a good idea to go there now. Enjoy it while you still can. Quite apart from that, if you go to Damaraland, you obviously have these huge number of whether it's the burnt mountain, the petrified forest, the Twyfelfontein rock paintings. So there's such a lot to do in that area. Generally, that area is a super nice area to go to. And if you go up to Warusip or Wanip, the Kumip and Wanip and Unyap and the Kumip rivers, you are bound to stumble across those elephants sooner than later. So anyway, by the way, these images were obviously taken by us from the internet, so just so that you know, they are not our own. Anyway, those are our desert elephants, and Yeah, like I said, that video is just a superb illustration of what can happen if you make a bit of space for elephants and allow them to still enjoy themselves, because you will not easily find elephant that are lying down unless you are very quiet and you keep a respectful distance, which Rolf Schmidt and his team must have done. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Up next, we've got To the Point. Right, and to the point today, we do it a bit different. You will remember that every now and then I concentrate a bit on our principle of 10 degrees south, obviously looking at all the countries of Southern Africa. And I thought I'd talk a bit about Malawi today. So if you look at the map, you can get a rough idea of what Malawi is about. It's much further to the east of Southern Africa. You see there Zambia, Tanzania, and so on. It is a landlocked country, obviously, but it does have access to that huge Malawi lake. So it's a southeastern African country. It is regarded as such, formerly known as Nyasaland, if you remember, those who are a bit older. And like you can see on the map there, it's bordered by Zambia and Tanzania to the northeast and that whole area along the lake, really. And then Mozambique, obviously, to the east, south, and southwest, in fact, even, because it comes around at the bottom. So Malawi's capital and largest city is Lilongwe, and its former capital, Zomba, is only the fourth largest. So Blantyre, obviously, being quite a big town as well. So the name Malawi actually comes from Maravi, an old name for the Chewa people who inhabit that area. So, and the country is actually nicknamed the warm heart of Africa because of the friendliness of the people. And it's a fact. I had the opportunity at one stage to get to know further towards the south there, south of Blantyre. And these are just very, very nice people. But I brought you a video just to have a look at, so just have a look. Right, and that was the video that we had for you today, something different under To The Point. As we close the year almost, I just thought I'd need to show you that as well. That was Malawi, something different. So if you maybe want to extend your trip from Namibia through Zambia, along Lake Kariba, going right over to Malawi, what a nice idea. It's something totally different. So I thought I'd just whet your appetite a bit. But that brings us to the end of this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and trust that I will be able to entertain you next week again at the same time, same place. Until then, look after yourself. See you next week. Bye.